Tito Martins, Chief Executive Officer of Nexa. You've listed here at the New York Stock Exchange today. I want to first talk about what makes up a majority of your mining business, the zinc business. Zinc prices have been on a tear for the past couple of years, and are trading at above, what, $3,000 a metric ton. How has that impacted your business right now? How are you operating in this high demand, lower supply environment?
Okay, demand is very strong, has been strong for the last, as you said, couple of years. We still believe that there will be more demand in the next 2 to 3 years. We are very optimistic about that. And because of that, we are listing today. We have plans to develop new projects and cope with the demand.
Those plans to develop new projects, I'm assuming some of the investment, the money that you're getting today will go toward those. Have you thought about accelerating those at all, given the current environment?
It's a possibility. In mining, sometimes you cannot actually speed up the process because you need to be very careful where you are trying to operate. Okay, first you need the concessions, then you need the authorization from the public in general, what we call the social permits, and after that you can move on. We have a big challenge in the next 2 to 3 years exactly to develop our projects.
Which areas are you specifically pushing into the hardest?
We have an important project in Brazil and another important project in Peru. Our intention is to be able actually to grow our production, which today is around 650,000 tons per year, to something around 800,000 tons in the next 2 years.
800,000 tons in the next 2 years. When I think about your customers, though, in terms of their margins, it seems like some folks would like to see zinc prices a little bit lower. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's going to happen. And besides that, I think it's important to mention the use of zinc in the industry, mostly in the galvanized steel. The zinc component in the cost of the steel makers is not so large. It's just 5% of the costs, which means that when zinc prices are high, actually the impact on our final consumer is not too high. It's not significant for them.
So when I think about this offering today, you raised $496 million. It was a little bit less than you had initially intended. What was that gap in terms of what investors were willing to pay on a valuation basis for Nexa shares?
We are very proud of having this listing. I think it's a milestone for the industry because mining has not had any listing in the last 10 years in America. So it was not easy, but we are very happy to be able to do so. We are showing there's a new cycle for our industry.
So when I think about the growth plans that you're talking about and the amount of money you raised today, are you going to need to find other sources of capital or tap markets again to raise a bit of extra money to continue to fuel your growth?
Well, we are not planning to access the market so early. I would say that we have a very strong financials. We are very well positioned, and I have no doubt the money we are raising today, it's be more than enough to fit our cash needs and capital needs for the next 3 to 5 years.
When I do think over the next 3 to 5 years, do we continue to see strong demand for zinc out of China? Where are the markets that you see the biggest buyers in the next 3 years?
We had in the last 10 years a strong demand for zinc, mostly driven by China, and it looks like now China will remain an important market, but the other Asian countries are also growing based on the growth we saw before in China, and also Middle East and Latin America.
How are you jockeying against the likes of Glencore? They still kind of own the zinc production market. Are you trying to take share? What's that look like strategy-wise?
We are very pleased to see that Glencore is very optimistic about the zinc. Right? The announcement they made a few weeks ago to acquire Vulcan was an excellent sign to the market that they are really believing that zinc will remain stronger for the next years. So it's good for us.
So you've listed here at the New York Stock Exchange. You've also listed in Toronto on the TSX. There's been a lot of Brazilian companies that have sold shares lately listing in the domestic market. Would you ever consider listing back home?
No, actually, we want to first list in the U.S. because of the liquidity. Second, in Toronto because of the sort of our business. I mean, mining is something that is well perceived in Canada. And the Brazilians, they are allowed to buy our shares here. So it's natural to be in the liquid market.
Last question here. I will ask you to pick a number for me, $3,000 a metric ton for zinc. Where do you think we are 12 months from now?
I hope we are higher than that, for sure. I would say that's something around 3,500.
So hopes for continuing increasing prices in zinc. Tito Martins, CEO of Nexa, listed here at the New York Stock Exchange today. Thank you for joining me.